Hey everybody, my name is Chase Pipes and you're watching Chasing History, brought to you by American Digger Magazine and Smoky Mountain Relic Room, and we're back at the Texas Through Time Museum with my good buddy Andre Lujan. Andre, dude, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
This is an incredible museum located in Hillsboro, Texas, and it is literally Texas through time, the history of Texas throughout all of history that we know of. Andre's got an excellent museum set up back here, some incredible displays. Andre, tell us about what kind of displays you've got going on here at your museum.
Well, we could spend all day in here, but really I just want to hit some high points. But really what we try to showcase is fossils from the oldest period of time in Texas to the most recent, including some artifacts from the Paleo-Indians and Indians.
Wow, so you've got basically, in this building, you've got fossils, literally, and artifacts of all of known time in the state of Texas.
Absolutely, and we're adding more all the time.
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, we feel like it's really important to tell that story with fossils of every size and type. So from plant fossils, invertebrate fossils, especially echinoderms that don't really get appreciated the way they should. So those are urchins, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, all right, cool.
So these dinosaurs right here are not from Texas, but they do represent species that probably more than likely roamed in our state. This large skull here is from a dinosaur called Allosaurus. And Allosaurus is one of the most numerous predators from the Jurassic period. There's literally been hundreds of these skeletons found.
Wow.
So if you think about large meat-eating specimens like Tyrannosaurus rex in the Cretaceous period, there's only probably been about 24 skeletons ever found, good ones. Allosaurus, there's literally been hundreds
and hundreds of them found. So in the grand scheme of things, it was like the predatory coyotes or wolves or whatever.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you bring that up because it is theorized that these guys were pack hunters because their prey, everything else in the Jurassic, was huge. You had long-necked sauropods, and then you have these little gracile meat eaters. So how could they bring down giant prey like a sauropod unless they were hunting actively in groups?
That's cool, man.
Yeah. So you go from the Permian to these tetrapods to the first bipedal dinosaurs in the Triassic period to now these really advanced theropods in the Allosaurus.
So you've got stuff from Texas all through, but we're kind of missing a section here in the Jurassic.
Right. Well, the Jurassic's not really well represented in Texas, and
why is that?
One of the reasons for that is during the Cretaceous period, most of our state was covered in a large sea that stretched from the Gulf of Mexico all the way into Alberta, Canada.
Oh, whoa, so we had this giant inland sea that basically cut the United States as we know it today in half.
Absolutely, creating two continents back then. One called Appalachia in the eastern United States, and one called Laramidia in the western United States. So the action of that ocean formation and existence and egress really eroded away a lot of those Jurassic rocks.
Okay, so whatever would have been fossilized at that time or on its way to being fossilized, the action of that water in that ocean eroded that floor away.
Absolutely.
Dude, that's so cool, man.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
This is really a neat piece. This is from the northwestern corner of Colorado. It's out of the Morrison Formation, which is known as the graveyard of the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And we've got some large sauropod bones in here. But this is out of the quarry that this dinosaur was discovered in. My partner, Jason Cooper, actually found that dinosaur.
Wow.
And so this is a block of stone that was from that same layer that these dinosaurs were recovered.
Wow, that's cool, man. What we got next?
Well, at the end of the Jurassic, extinction event, shift change,
Another
new kids on the block.
Big thing.
Right, and we're talking about that ocean, and that's really important because this represents the invertebrate species from that ocean during the Cretaceous period.
Oh, nuts. So, okay, so you've got where there was land, big things, ocean comes in, boom, these are the ocean fossils.
These are the ocean
found
fossils.
in Texas.
Found in Texas.
Yeah, that's
so here is an ammonite fossil, and this is a type of squid or nautilus that had a shell.
That's cool.
So we got this little toy here to kind of show you what kind of soft parts would be hanging out of that thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nuts.
So these...
so is this like a deep ocean, shallow ocean?
Well, it varied greatly.
Okay.
Varied greatly. In comparison to like the Marianas Trench, it was a very shallow ocean.
Right.
But it was teeming with life. A lot of invertebrate species, ammonites, urchins that we talked about earlier. So here's a really classy one. This is called Stereosideris, and it's a beautiful ornate urchin.
looks like a brain.
Yeah.
That is nuts.
It's from right here in Hill County.
Wow.
We also have some really incredible echinoderms in the form of starfish. So this is a brittle star.
That's cool.
Collected by our own Matthew Harrell.
Wow.
And donated to the museum here.
That's awesome. Wow, what a nice guy. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's so. All right, when were these things first discovered? First described?
Oh gosh, a lot of these invertebrate species have been known for 50 to 100 years.
Yeah, but when you think about it, that's really not a lot of time. That, you know, I mean, for 50 to 100 years of that human beings have been wandering around, we've only known about these fossils for 50 to 100 years. That is a ridiculous short amount of time.
Well, that's one of the main reasons why, especially in invertebrate fossils, new discoveries and new named species are like happening at a staggering pace.
Wow.
Because there's so much we don't know. But think about how long have we been collecting accurate weather data?
That's true.
So
yeah, that's really
what do we really know about weather patterns?
You know, and this is another reason why museums like what you're doing here is so important, because you're inspiring that next generation of paleontologists to go out there and to make these new discoveries that haven't been made yet.
Absolutely. That's our main goal here at Texas Through Time, is to inspire the next generation and put science in the hands of kids and share with them that this is something that is achievable and it is obtainable.
Dude, I dig it, man. That is awesome.
So enough with the spineless bits over here. This is the vertebrate case.
Yeah, let's
this
get
is
back to
where
birds.
all the teeth and scary stuff happens. We've got fossils from incredibly large sharks, a type called Tychodus, which is this really funky looking tooth here. This is from a large shell crushing shark.
What kind of grandma was this?
Yeah.
That's nuts, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we're in the Cretaceous.
We're in the Cretaceous.
But still part of the inland sea.
Still part of the inland sea,
Okay.
but we just separated out the invertebrate fossils from the vertebrate fossils. So we can talk about them as two different groups.
Nice.
So this large bone right here is from a plesiosaur.
Whoa, okay. So like the Loch Ness Monster looking thing.
Right, absolutely. We also have some fossils from the mosasaur down here. Everybody knows what a mosasaur is. Large marine reptile. So what we have
It's
here,
the one that ate the bad dinosaur in the Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a massive cervical vertebrae from a mosasaur that hunted the seas in central Texas. This is from an animal called Tylosaurus prorigor. So this is really, really a cool Texas fossil, and one that is quite common.
That's nuts. I love the name, Prorigor.
Prorigor.
Prorigor. That's cool.
So we also have fish fossils in here. We have shark fossils, and we have some turtle fossils over here.
Oh, cool. Okay, so at this time we had turtles going on and doing their thing.
Absolutely. We had Protostega, we had Archelon, and these are turtles that got up to 11 feet long.
Okay.
2.5 tons. So, I mean, truly massive
Jeez,
turtles.
that's nuts, man.
Yeah. We have some fossils here that are associated from a fish called Xiphactinus. And Xiphactinus could get up to like 20 feet long.
Yeah, that's that big, giant Cretaceous fish.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
imagine a tarpon like from the radioactive swamps of Chernobyl. Yeah, this is a
That's
big,
awesome.
scary fish.
That's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So
Well, this is what was happening in the oceans.
Okay.
But on land, Texas dinosaurs reigned supreme.
okay, so you have parts of Texas that did have land in the Cretaceous.
Absolutely.
That dinosaurs could walk around and do their thing.
Right. In the far west of our state, we had actually a very diverse population of dinosaurs. So on the bottom shelf here, we have very large bones. These are from hadrosaurs, a group of dinosaurs that are commonly referred to as duck-billed dinosaurs.
Dude, look at this. That's giant.
Yeah.
That is so cool, dude.
So that is a pair of femurs left and right from an
Wow.
animal that could have been up to 40 feet long. So, you know, we're talking a T-Rex size Cretaceous cow.
Wow, that's a lot of milk.
basically. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
so here's one of that dinosaur's toe bones to put it into perspective.
So how did you guys get these fossils? Are these some that you guys went out and collected?
We did, yeah, we collected those, and so we're always actively looking for new places to hunt for dinosaurs. We pore over geologic information, we look at maps, we look at photographs, and we put together all the pieces like a good investigator and a good scientist does, and go out in the field and apply what we think we found and try to prove whether or not we're right.
See, that's so awesome. I mean, these guys are literally covering the entire history of time in Texas. That is nuts. I don't know of any other group that's doing that.
There's lots of wonderful museums in our state that showcase some of the amazing fossils that we have, but there's not really any other museum in our state that is going to show you the complete history.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you're going out into the field actively, not just like once or here and there, but actively going into the field and discovering this stuff.
It's so important because fossils are being lost every day to the forces of erosion. And this is not a small deal. Erosion is the most powerful force on Earth. So continents have been made and destroyed, mountain ranges made and destroyed, destroyed by the forces of erosion. The Appalachian Mountains used to be bigger than the Himalaya Mountains.
That's right.
But they've been worn down to little stubs. Forces of erosion.
Beautiful.
So we're out there. We're out there saving the fossils from the forces of erosion.
But see, you brought up a good point, and this is something that we've tried to cover in other videos and actually take you out into the field and show you the truth of it, is that fossils really in the grand scheme of things aren't rare. They're out there. It's just knowing where to go and look for them. And what Andre brought up is the importance of getting out and saving these fossils, because you've got erosion. Erosion's doing its thing. What erosion wants to do is it wants to take these rocks and mountains and wants to turn it into dirt and wear it flat. It wants to gravity wants to just make it all flat. And it's doing that to the fossils as well. So once these fossils get exposed to the powers of erosion, it's doing the same thing to that fossil that it's doing to that mountain. It is breaking it up and it is turning it back into dirt. And that's why it's so important for guys like Andre and the team here at the Texas Through Time Museum to actively get out and to find this stuff. And this is why you out there watching, you can go out and do this and discover it, and this can be a life that you can do. This is awesome, dude.
Thank you. No, and you're right, Chase. That's really important. These fossils would have turned to dust in a season or two.
That fast.
Absolutely,
so once it's exposed, you've got a year or two, or a season or two.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So out here in the desert where we're collecting these, we have a monsoon season. We only get about 16 inches of rain a year, and it all falls in the summertime. So once a bone gets eroded, if it gets washed out of a coulee and into a creek, it's tumbled with rocks during one of these flash floods, and it's absolutely pulverized.
Wow.
And you might find a piece of it, but this beautiful intact bone has been turned to cobbles in the creek because of one flood event.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so you got Cretaceous, Texas. That's cool.
Yes, and dinosaurs that are iconic and recognizable as the ones in Montana and Wyoming and North Dakota, South Dakota. So we have Tyrannosaurs here too. People don't realize that. Tyrannosaurs lived in Texas. Not the early Cretaceous Acrocanthosaurus, but actually a Tyrannosaurus species. So what we have here, and I'll pull this out, is a middle metatarsal from this Texas Tyrannosaurus.
Whoa! Now what's a metatarsal?
A metatarsal is the long bones in our feet.
Okay.
All animals have metatarsals. Right. So
Okay.
dinosaurs have these metatarsals too.
That's a huge foot bone. That's cool.
So marine mammals, fish and stuff they have fins, but marine mammals and other things that have hands and feet and flippers do.
So this is a tyrannosaur toe.
This is a tyrannosaur toe, and to kind of show you where it goes, it's this bone right here in the middle of the foot.
That's cool.
So here it is, a Texas Tyrannosaur.
Wow. Is that something you guys found?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ah,
I know.
That's cool.
Exciting stuff.
Heck yeah, man.
We also have horned dinosaurs like Bravoceratops, very similar to Triceratops with the frill and the horns.
Yeah.
They all have their own different style. And we have armored dinosaurs too, which I'd love to talk to you about later.
Yeah, we're going to cover that later. Come back for that episode.
Well, we're talking about the Cretaceous, and we have some really interesting things happening in the Cretaceous. Here's some petrified trees from the ranch out there. Now, we find some of these trees in the same formation, sometimes up against these dinosaur bones. So these are the very same trees that these animals lived in and around during the Cretaceous period.
And got covered up possibly in the same kind of event.
Absolutely. What's really cool is, we're watching things kind of change and grow. We had no hardwood trees in the Permian period. Mm-hmm. Then in the Triassic we have conifers. Now in the Cretaceous period we have hardwood trees. So we start to have these dicots, which we we have a lot of dicot species today, and then we also have these conifers. So things are changing, they're diversifying, and it's really exciting.
More stuff of what we would recognize today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's cool. So this is a whole new species, whole new deal, a whole new period of time. What's going on in the Oligocene?
Well, in the Oligocene, it's really great because this is
how many years back?
the Oligocene is it's 30 to 40 million years.
Okay, so we went from 70 million years, jumped ahead, we're out 40 million years.
Right. So at the end of the Cretaceous, it was a Paleocene. There were some crocs, turtles, a few mammals made it through, and those guys had some time to gel. But during the Oligocene, we had huge grasslands that just stretch across the Midwest.
Wow.
And it was the perfect place for large grazing animals and also for predatory animals that eat those animals.
Wow.
One of those is this guy right here. This is a type of saber cat from the Oligocene. It's a false cat called Dinictus.
Look at that! That is so cool.
Yeah. So this is a fossil that we found here. We found in South Dakota.
Is this one you guys went out and found?
Absolutely, yeah. I found this on my first trip out in the field.
No way.
First mammal skull I ever
that'll
collected.
ruin you.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done. I've retired from
that.
the
That is
Oligocene.
awesome.
But really interesting. Look at those teeth. I mean, those were just made to chomp chunks of flesh.
That's a bad kitty.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what was this? So this was this the dominant predator of its time?
There were actually lots of predators. There were large pigs, ruminant pigs, Archaeotherum, and other entelodonts. So imagine a pig like a warthog looking thing, the size of a bison.
Whoa!
So these were going to be some pretty nasty animals, and we also had hyenodons. And an early dog called Hesperion.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so. But we're starting to get. It seems like we're starting to get into things that we recognize today.
Yes, we have rhinos.
Okay.
We have some early tapirs.
Okay.
This little skull right here, this cute little guy, is from an animal called Paleolagus, and this is a Oligocene rabbit.
Wow. That's cool. Look at Peter. That's awesome, man.
So yeah, cute little rabbit skull. We have mice, we have squirrels, and all sorts of other things like that. So you're right, Chase. This is when mammals start to figure out what really works best and start to perfect those forms.
And that's us.
And that's us.
That's us. This is awesome.
Yeah. So moving into the Miocene, which is going to be about 15 million years ago. We have a diversity of petrified wood in the state of Texas that most people don't recognize. We have hardwoods, we have oaks, we have walnuts, legumes, conifers.
So you're able to identify those species from the fossils?
Absolutely.
What?
Yeah.
How?
Well, just like fingerprints identify people,
okay.
If you look at the cell structure of trees, they all have a very unique structure. Conifers have resin cells because they had, resiny sap. Yeah. And hardwood trees have a lot more lignin, and they have a lot more water conductors, that pipe water through the tree.
Wow.
So we're able to identify those. Palm is an easily identifiable wood because it has all these little
Come look at this, guys. This is pretty wild. Now, I've seen prehistoric artifacts made out of this wood. It's fascinating to think, that later in time that prehistoric Native American groups would identify these as a thing to make tools out of, and you can identify them today because of these distinctive marks in the tree.
Absolutely.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So this is not a fossil from Texas, but it is from the Miocene, and it's pretty impressive. This is one that I donated to our collection. It's a large agatized coral head. This is from the Wahooooooo River from the Florida-Georgia line.
That's
so
cool.
In this ocean, the time that these wonderful trees were growing in Texas, giant 52-ton sharks were swimming over these reefs in the Florida-Georgia region.
That's nuts.
Megalodon.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So Miocene, we're really getting into the most recent period of time, and we're just going to jump right into the Pleistocene, the Ice Age.
Okay.
So we all recognize that name, the Ice Age. And what we have here in this case are some really easily identifiable Texas fossils from the Ice Age. We had two dominant elephants. We had mastodons.
Oh, whoa. Now the mastodon, that was a North American species only, wasn't it?
Mastodon was found in North America, yes.
Yeah.
It was only found in North America.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Look at the teeth. Now they think they had this great teeth because they were chewing just the leaves, but the branches and the bark and just all kinds of stuff.
They're eating more shrubs and brushy material, and they were a little bit more diminutive than the larger plains mammoths. So they're probably more woodland creatures.
Okay.
Keeping to the meadows and things like that.
So the mastodons, it's an elephant species that would be in the forest.
Right.
And then we've got mammoths that we know.
Right. And I'll pull this out. So let's look at the distinct difference in these two teeth. This is a grazer. This guy's out on the plains eating nice grasses and things like that. This guy's he's a wood chipper.
Yeah.
He's chewing up some really coarse vegetation.
Yeah. And these are two different species of elephant that we had that are now extinct in the Pleistocene.
Right, and these guys live together.
That's so nuts, man.
And we do have evidence here in Texas that Paleo Indians actually actively hunted and ate both of these species.
That's right. That's right. That's cool, man.
There was another dominant elephant taxa here in Texas and all of North America, and that was the Gomphothere. The Gomphothere was more closely related to elephants than it was mammoths or mastodons, and they actually spread worldwide. You can find their fossils on every continent except for Antarctica and Australia. And extremely diverse animals and kind of a nightmare to identify sometimes.
Really?
They are so diverse that not all the taxa are identified, and it's believed that they might have been able to interbreed, which is why there's so many different species.
That's kinky.
But shovel tusk,
Wow.
Gomphotheres, some with massive, just straight tusks, really weird animals.
Wow, that's nuts. That's the facts with Matt.
Some of the other iconic Texas Pleistocene fauna would be the bison. So here we have a skull cap of a bison antiquus, which is the Ice Age bison.
The giant bison.
Right, the giant bison. We had several other species here. We don't have some fossils of them, but we had one called Latifrons, which was basically a longhorn bison.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so their horns got up to 6 feet.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Dude, you have got literally everything. I mean, we just took, how many millions of years did we start?
We've traveled through time about 350 million years.
That is insane. In one spot, in one place, you can come and see not copies or replicas or whatever, but the actual fossils discovered by the actual people, from stuff in Texas right here.
Right here.
Dude, tell people how they can find you, how they can come check this museum out.
Well, first and foremost, if you live in Texas, come to Hillsboro. We're located at 110 North Waco Street in downtown, right on the square. You can find us online via our Facebook page or our Instagram at Texas Through Time. You can call the museum at 254-262-3466, and we just recently are getting our website going, so you can try texasthroughtime.org.
That's awesome. Guys, this is definitely a trip worth taking and definitely a place worth seeing where you can actually meet the real people out in the field discovering this history. Andre, this is awesome, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We got a lot more to show you guys. Stay tuned to the next episodes. Be sure to subscribe and like if you like it. And history rocks! Woohoo!